registered that makes you do well in school and maybe do well in business or other jobs. But this ability to produce things that are novel, original, that nobody else is able to think of is just a different trait, and that's what we call creativity.
Common myths about creativity is that it's something unique and only a few selected people have it. While we often think of creativity as an event or a natural skill that some people have and some don't, research actually suggests that both creativity and non-creativity are learned. Creativity and the ability to innovate are like muscles. The more we use them, the stronger they get. We think that it's only Einstein, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk who have creative genius. In fact, that's not true. Today, researchers are studying the heck out of creativity, and much of what we think we know about the topic is just plain wrong. However, there are specific habits and traits which anyone can use to unlock their creative genius.
Is they have a certain level of physical energy. When I say that, I don't mean that they're bouncing off the walls. That's not the point. And in fact, many very creative people, they take lots of naps. Look at Stephen King. They combine playfulness with discipline. This idea of responsibility and irresponsibility. So when you see a very creative person at work, often what you can see there's a certain level of discipline of being able to do a task, but they'll go at it with a playfulness, a lightness, a joyfulness in what they're doing. But that's not the... See, one of the reasons that a lot of people don't fulfill their creative potential is they leave it all in their imagination. They leave it all, all these ideas are sitting there, but they never put some reality into it and actually kind of go out there and execute on what they're trying to do and make that visible in the world. They can go to the other extent, obviously, and they can be both introverted and extroverted. They can have this ability to, when they're doing certain types of work, to go in to themselves, when having to do other types of work, to kind of go out into the world as well. A classic case in point is if you've ever met some really well-known artists and you meet them backstage and you're talking to backstage, and they can often be quite introverted individuals and be a little bit shy. But then you see them on stage and they're up there and they're doing their thing and the ego is bigger than ever. And that's a classic example of introverted and extroverted. And it's this idea that if you're doing any kind of creative work, you have to be open, you have to be sensitive to the world around you, to what you're trying to do. But this level of openness and sensitivity also opens you up for pain. An example here is if you've ever watched a musician go into maybe somewhere and there's music playing somewhere, maybe there's a musician up on stage and they're not doing a great set and they're playing chords and it's not quite working and they're not hitting notes. You can see the expression of physical pain on that musician's face, because by having to open ourselves out to the world, by having to be more sensitive, whether it's in an auditory way or visual if you're a visual artist, or whatever your particular modality, your particular thing is, both passionate yet objective, So they have to go into something with a passion, especially when it comes to the creative process. They have to go in and be really passionate about creating ideas, and at the end actually doing those ideas, making those ideas real. But there has to be a level of objectiveness at some point where they say, I have all these ideas, which are the ones that are worth pursuing?
I've experienced inspiration through interviewing contagiously passionate people weekly on my show Passion in Progress. And I've experienced that same inspiration tenfold the last couple days attending the VidSummit conference. I'm reminded of Wayne Gretzky's quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Well, in this case, you don't know what's waiting for you out there unless you go achieve it for yourself.
To be creative is to inspire people, starting with yourself. This means inducing that wonderful state which makes art inevitable. When you inspire people, you wake them up from the drabness and the drudgery of the mundane, and you make them go, wow.
I know what the caged bird feels, Ami, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind blows soft through the springing grass and the river floats like a sheet of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes. and the faint perfume from its chalice steals. I know what the caged bird feels. Everybody in the world uses words, uses how are you, fine, thank you, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, nouns, pronouns. The writer has to take these most known things and put them together in such a way that a reader says, I never thought of it that way before. It's hard. It's a challenge, and I know many writers, and I'm one.
Well, I take the action, and then the creative mindset follows. But the action is to sit down at the desk. I kind of picture myself with a Christopher Robin pop gun, and I say, sit down. It's time. And then I usually try to figure out one thing I could do, because every writer, no matter how well-known or how much of a beginner, you never really know what you're doing, and it's overwhelming. It's always like an unassaulted ice flow of blank paper, and I'll figure out a 45-minute passage or connective tissue, some sort of collagen that is needed between this passage and the next one. I'll keep it really small. I always told my writing students to have a 1-inch picture frame on their desk, because all you have to do on any given day is what you can see through that 1-inch picture frame. So I keep it really small, and then I start to write, and I let myself write really terrible first drafts. I just do it like the old Nike ad.
See yourself as an artist when you go to work every day. See yourself as someone who gets to create a masterpiece through your work regardless of what you do. I think every single one of us has a need for creative expression. We all have in our hearts a longing to go to work every day and to create. That's part of what makes us special. Actually, let me put it this way. We all have a creative longing to realize our potential. It's one of the most fundamental of all human hungers. You know, Edison is a fascinating guy. He had close to 2,000 patents in his life. He was asked, what's the secret of your genius? You know what he said? Most people get up every day. They do many things. I get up every day. I do a few. I think it's an impotent way to live to say it's because of other people and it's because of circumstances that I'm not playing my best game. My life changed when I realized a simple idea, which is life is a mirror, and life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are.
You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
There's certainly a link between mental health problems and creative work. I mean, we've seen this throughout history. We've had many artists who have struggled with their mental health, Vincent van Gogh being one of them. Our own Edvard Munch here in Norway was open about his mental problems. And there has also been several studies showing a link between mental health problems and creative work. Now, so there is an association, but what the causes are is less clear. I mean, what is causing the mental health issues? Is it the creative work? Is it the stress that you just described? Or is it something about creative work that attracts people that may be vulnerable to start with?
We identified over 3,000 different studies that are linking the arts to kind of health and well-being. And these studies have used a really wide range of research methodologies. So from like really large surveys through to like qualitative interviews and experimental studies. And these studies have all shown that the arts can have a role both in preventing mental health problems like depression, as well as managing and treating existing kind of symptoms of mental illness and neurological disorders as well. So in my team, we've done lots of work using cohort studies from the UK and the US. And these studies include thousands of adults, and they follow them up, so ranging from kind of going to the theatre or visiting museums, but also doing things kind of more actively participating in community groups or kind of creative activities, making music. All of those kinds of activities have been shown to be associated with lower levels of depressive symptoms and enhanced well-being as well. And in line with the kind of evidence from the review I mentioned, we've also found that these activities can help to prevent the onset of depression and anxiety in the first place.
Painting for me provides that sense of control that my mental illness robs me of. Super excited to have everybody here with us today and appreciate. My mind was being overtaken by these terrible, obtrusive thoughts. Fear, panic, misunderstanding. Found my way to, a psychiatric hospital and, immediately was diagnosed with OCD. And somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Jeff, I heard painting might be good for your health. Why don't you try it?" I never painted a day in my damn life. But, when you're desperate, you'll try anything. So I rerouted, went to the paint supply store and picked up a bunch of supplies, came home, and you're looking at the Forrest Gump of painting. The first time I picked up a paintbrush, it felt damn good, even though I had no clue what the hell I was doing. And to have your soul invigorated, even for a little while, can be life-changing. I said, look, I paint. I said, it makes me feel good. I said, maybe help somebody else. At that point, we started our nonprofit.
He had an incredibly quick mind. He was intelligent. He was well-read. He was curious. It was kind of like a mixture of all of those. And the guy could perform. The guy could riff off anything. I mean, you have to understand there's a difference between acting and doing improv and stand-up comedy. Improv is working off things in the room. He could work off anything. So you kind of combine all of that and you get Robin Williams.
But you also show a man filled with doubt and insecurities.
He did have a lot of doubt. I mean, a lot of performers do. I mean, I think a lot of creative people do. It's not a bad thing. We all have doubt. I mean, God bless the people who can show us. I think people loved how honest he was. And I think the more he kind of came to terms with his issues of substance abuse and what have you, the better his comedy got. Robin was a creative soul.
Why do I stand up here? Anybody?
To feel taller.
No. Thank you for playing, Mr. Dalton. I stand upon my desk to remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way.
Lemons using a pair of tongs. I'm gonna give it a try so that you don't have to, and see if you can make delicious lemonade using lemons. And
Little C creativity is where most people sit in their lives. And that's a great place to be because it means that you can get a little bit of teaching, a little bit of instruction, a little bit of feedback, and use those instructions and that feedback to build your creativity over time. And little C is where the vast majority of school education lies. So students learn to write a poem and they get some feedback on it from their teacher, some explicit instruction, and then their poetry becomes more creative. The last level of creativity is what we call Big C. And to quote James Kaufman, that's for people who are famous and considered to be paradigm shifters 100 years after they're dead. And unfortunately, we still say, you hear people saying that it's all about being Mozart or Einstein or one of those people. Whereas we know that the majority of us are very happy with little C creativity. And in fact, it's an important motivating factor for a lot of us throughout our lives.
The jury. Today on trial, we have modern day schooling. Glad you could come. Not only does he make fish climb trees, but also makes them climb down and do a 10-mile run. Tell me, school, are you proud of the things you've done? Turning millions of people into robots, do you find that fun? Do you realize how many kids relate to that fish? Swimming upstream in class, never finding their gifts, thinking they are stupid, believing they are useless? Well, the time has come, no more excuses. I call school to the stand and accuse him of killing creativity, individuality, and being intellectually abusive.
They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it? Hear it?
When we teach kids, we should remember that it's supposed to be fun. They need to be engaged through this, and so creativity is a wonderful way to just try to open them up and show them that learning isn't necessarily a task, but it's something that's enjoyable and we can all participate in together.
And when you're done with the lesson, if you want to space out and stare out the window, go for it. So we want to constructively say to our children, hey, go for it. Take the time and finish your task first.
Got it. So it's okay to let them do that, to encourage it. I mean, 47% of our time,
it builds creativity. Well,
right.
It builds creativity. We are more creative when we let our minds wander. We come up with these cool ideas. We invent things that we can do differently. A new meal, a new action, a new whatever.
Yeah.
If you give yourself the time to have the creativity, not on a device.
Yes. Put it down.
Right. Put it down and allow yourself to just be. You never know what might happen.
I love this segment.
Cheer up, sleepy Jean. What can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
What I had to say to you, moreover, would not take long. To wit, practice any art, music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly, not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside you, to make your soul grow. Seriously, I mean, starting right now. Do art and do it for the rest of your lives. Draw a funny or nice picture of Miss Lockwood and give it to her. Dance home after school and sing in the shower, and on and on. Make a face in your mashed potatoes. Pretend you're Count Dracula.
The #1 way that Americans participate in the arts is through digital technology.
Because we can have this incredible immersive experience on the internet, those of us who want to be creative in our careers can find so many things online that helps you to enhance that process.
You use the internet to research a subject or a person or an area and get excited and then move to a conversation.
Cameras and drawing tablets, motion capture systems, Fitbits, iPhones, all of these things are fabulous and right at our fingertips. But the problem is that a motion capture system can't make you dance any better. It can only capture what you can already do. You take a problem and you have to break it down to a series of steps. Now, a computer doesn't just read your mind to do things. You have to really articulate what that is. You have to define what you're doing, create a series of steps and have a logical flow through them. And all these steps accumulate, creating some sort of end product. And I immediately thought, well, isn't that the same as choreography? Because you still have to develop some movement material, make it into some steps, put a couple of phrases together, and you have a piece. So.
Just close my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away my worries of today. And leave tomorrow behind. Ooh, I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Just outside Mount Vernon. It's really cute. Fly me high through the starry skies. Maybe to an astral plane.
National parks, and since we're all at home now.
The club isn't the best place to find the lovers, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then we talk slow. And you come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hand, stop it, and the man on the jukebox, and then we start to dance. And now I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now.
Recipient of the individual award in Health and Social Services is Amy Lutzel. Amy Lutzel is the director of the Wellness and Fitness Center at Ivy Tech. When the center closed last year, Amy created a robust health and wellness community online with virtual workouts, group events, and resources, and worked to help others overcome health challenges and lost connection while staying at home.
One of the great things about working in collaboration and finding someone else is you get to share this incredible journey of creativity. You get to share this experience of coming up with new ideas, but then refining and polishing those ideas and seeing those ideas brought to fruition as well. So if you're stuck on something, if you have this creative idea but you're not quite sure where to take it, and you're not quite sure the best way to explore a new idea, then find someone you can work with on it. Find someone that you can collaborate with. Go out into the world. There'll be other people out there who are looking for someone just like you to collaborate with on their ideas, and hopefully together you can come up with some incredibly creative things.
Be the leader, we're going to help our customers. That's all well and good. Those are goals. But your purpose should be something that's authentic, that's bold, and that people can personally connect and relate to. When you have that, that inspires people to give a little bit more, to take risks. When people are afraid to take a risk, when they are really reluctant to do things differently, then you really don't have a strong innovation purpose, and the culture in your organization will not incubate new and fresh ideas.
Communication, transparency, and goal setting are crucial. The downside is that visionary leadership can result in a lack of short-term focus and rejection of others' ideas. The merit of visionary leadership rests on the leader's ability to clearly articulate a vision that aligns with the company's objectives and influence all organization members to promote this vision. Doing this requires a clear understanding of what visionary leadership is and how best to apply it to an organization. Daniel Goleman coined visionary leadership in 2002. It's a concept that relates to Goleman's perspective on situational leadership based on emotional intelligence. Goleman defines visionary leadership as the ability to take charge and inspire with a compelling vision, and states that this type of leadership is best when changes require a new vision or when a clear direction is needed. A visionary leader truly understands the big picture and sets a long-term path for the organization. When applying a visionary leadership style, the vision should also be adequately communicated and explained to the organization's members. A great visionary leader manages to communicate and market the vision so that members of the organization feel inspired and understand how they will benefit from its realization. First one out is Nelson Mandela. Mandela grew up in an environment where racial discrimination was the norm. He had a vision of a democratic country without racism. His relentless focus and willingness to act as a martyr for the cause during his imprisonment inspired many others to support the struggle to end apartheid. The second example, Elon Musk, is known for revolutionary ideas that disrupt industries. He doesn't accept the status quo and is always going against the grain to achieve success. His ideas may seem ludicrous to some, but he has led teams of highly inspired and creative people to achieve the seemingly impossible.
Something powerful has happened, and you can do that, and you do it by asking questions. So, the next time you need to solve a problem, start with questions like these. Now, the next stage, generating ideas. This is when you do get to brainstorm, to engage in your natural lateral capacity to generate ideas, to involve divergent thinking. Now again, a lot of the research is spent on this, so I'll actually counter that by spending the least amount of time here. But there are some insights that do make your brain more lateral, more divergent, and consequently better at generating ideas.
Einstein said, to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and then 5 minutes solving it. Tina Seelig, a well-known professor on creativity, teaches to define a problem by reframing the question. For example, by simply asking why. Say you brainstorm ideas for a birthday party for your mum. You can ask, why do we organize birthday parties? You might then realize that we do them to make people feel special. Then ask, how can I make my mum feel special? Now a totally different idea might come up.
what you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind.
To these artists, true art lies in the experience of creating, not the outcome.